Hi, I'm Emily Taylor. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to do a quick demonstration about making an eye for an animal when you've done a collage of an animal. So here are some examples of eyes that I've had to do recently. The cardinal, this pattern hasn't come out yet, but maybe by the time you've watched this video, since it's on YouTube, you'll see it, but the little eye on the rooster. This is a new creation. Again, it's helpful to know how to do these eyes. So we've got all these little creatures that I love to do in textile collage, but it's really helpful to have an idea of how to finish off the eye because it really is important. So I'm going to demonstrate today using the frog from the Wee Green Beasties pattern. So here's the template for the frog. Here is the quilt, the finished quilt. So there's the frog, and I'm going to teach you how to do his eye, okay? So you'll be surprised at how simple and fun this is. All right, so what I'm going to do is pull over all of my supplies. So I'm using my wand iron. I've got that already warmed up. I've got my Karen K. Buckley scissors, my favorite scissors. And then I've got the 3 pieces of fabric that I need. So I've got the yellow part of his eye, the black part of his eye, that's the pupil, and a little highlight. So here we go. The first step is, let me also show you, I've got my little paintbrush because I'm also going to demonstrate how to do inktense. And I've got my tweezers. I really like having these on hand. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trace out the eye. So all of my pieces of fabric have been prepared with light Steam-A-Seam 2. So you see that paper on the back. This is the double-sided fusible that I recommend. Okay, so I'm going to peel this back. Now the fusible is stuck to the fabric, and what I'm going to do is hold it up against. Now it's helpful too to have this, if I can't see it exactly, I can use my light box, but I can see it okay. So you can kind of see, I'm just going to trace around this section of his eyeball. And this is what I call a SAS tracing. SAS meaning Steam-A-Seam. So I put that back, and then I have a perfect little template. And if I want to make sure that that template's going to stay in place, I can just touch it with that iron. So now I'm gonna cut this out, and again, this is just the yellow part of his eye. And maybe I'll round that out just a little bit. He might not be, that eyeball might not be just perfect. Okay. And that his eye could be yellow or green or anything else. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the black fabric. So the black that I've chosen is actually, it's got some purple and red. It's just a really, really lovely dark color. Again, this might be a little tricky for you to see. I can see it pretty good. If it's helpful to you to use a light box or hang your design up in a window, that's what I recommend. So remember to trace against that side that goes against the fabric. So there's the little template. I'm going to just press that so it stays in place, it doesn't slip as I cut around this template. So this is the one time where I break a few of my rules as far as collage goes. So number one, I'm layering these pieces right on top of each other. Generally, I'm overlapping slightly, but I'm not. I try not to layer things very much. So there's how his eye is looking. Let's just see how that looks. So far, so good. Now the thing that's going to really make the eye look realistic is that little highlight. Now one thing I need to do is find a pin here. I'm going to I'm gonna scratch or score the paper. That makes it easy for me to peel that paper off the back. And then the fabric has the steam on it. You can see it sticking to my finger. So I can just lay that on top of that, like that. Okay, so far so good. But it really looks flat, right? There's nothing to it. So let's add a little highlight. So the other rule that I'm breaking right now, that I do only when I'm doing an eye, is I need to get smaller than my thumbnail. So that little highlight, I'm just gonna kind of wing it. And a highlight should be just small, and this is where it's really helpful too to have these tweezers. So that might be a little bit large. Let's trim that down. But before I trim it anymore, I'm going to take the paper off, because as this gets smaller and smaller, it's really tricky to remove the paper. Okay, there. So now I'm going to trim this down just a little bit more, and I'm going to grab it with the tweezers and put it in the corner of his eye like that. So that all of a sudden really makes that eye look dimensional. Now I'm pressing all of these things, all of these pieces together. And then when I have my frog all finished, I will press this to the fabric underneath. In fact, let's just pretend, I'll grab a piece of green fabric right here, and we will add the outlines of his eye. Let me find a piece of fabric that I think is gonna look good. Let's go with this color, maybe. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Or I can go lighter. I could go something like that. I think we'll stick with this one. So again, I can do the same method, peeling this back, exposing opening this up so that I can see. Now I'm going to be tracing just the outside edge of where his eyeball is. He or she, I'm not sure if this is a boy or a girl froggy. Okay, I'm going to press that fabric back onto the paper so that it doesn't slip while I'm trimming. Now this is generally, the eye is going to go on top of my textile collage. So generally speaking, I'll have the collage all finished before I apply the eye. Okay, so there's, look, that looks like a good frog eye, right? So now I'm going to take the paper off the back of this, and I think that's going to go about right like that. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you is I want to show you how to make his eye look like it has a little, like it's a little more rounded, a little more dimensional. So that is going to happen when I use my Inktense pencils. So let's work on that for a second. Let me move this out of the way. I've got my Inktense pencils here, and this is, if I look at the gray tone here, I can see that the, that outside edge of the yellow part is actually very dark. So I'm going to select something in my pencils that will darken that up a little bit. This is Baked Earth, so let's give that a try. And it might be a good idea if I take it off of the green for a minute and just press it right there. Then I can have a lot of control and not get it onto the green part itself. So we can see this is kind of coming in really a really orangey red color. And I think I'm gonna want it even a little bit darker. So I think I'll choose, let's choose an opposite color to really darken that up. I'm just using kind of the side of my pencil and scraping along the edge of the eyeball. And then let's take a darker, another color. So the opposite of yellow would be kind of a purple color. Let's see here. Let's try a little bit of this violet. Just a little teeny bit of this, I think, is really going to set this off. Now it's really starting to take dimension, take some shape here. So these Inktense pencils are really fun to play with. I encourage you to have a good time with these. The Inktense, this is a 24 pack. This is sold on my website, as are the scissors and the tweezers and all of the supplies. So now I'm going to take the way Inktense works is when it is activated with water or painting medium, it will turn to ink. And this is going to really dramatically, see how it bleeds onto the fabric there? I like the way that's looking. That looks really, really beautiful. If I ever feel like I've got too much ink going on, if it's too dramatic, then have paper towels nearby, because then I can really easily lift off some of the pigment. But boy, I think that looks just really, really pretty. So now I can take this little eyeball off of the paper. And let's put this on his, there we go. Now there is an eyeball, and I can press it, and as that ink dries and saturates the fabric, it looks very realistic. So there you have it. There is an eyeball. There is an eyeball. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have questions, or if you're interested in purchasing this book in particular on my website, Take Flight, has step-by-step instructions that I just showed you. So if you need a refresher and you like owning a book, this has step-by-step instructions for making eyeballs, because there's lots of birds in this book. So thanks again for joining me. If you have any questions, you can find me at collagequilter.com. You can always shoot me an email too, Emily@collagequilter.com. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.